Hello there. So today we're going to just do a very fast exercise looking at how to bring reference images into your 3ds Max environment so that you can use them as modeling references, I guess, while you're in 3ds Max. So if you were modeling, I don't know, a gravestone or a door or whatever it is, a sofa, whatever it is that you're making, you can bring the image in, place it on a ground plane and have it within your world space. And that's handy for kind of constantly going backwards and forwards and referencing your images that you're using. So here we go. I'm going to start with the ground plane. It's 150 by 150. I've just set those parameters up. We may adjust them in a little while. We're going to put an image straight onto here using something called a UVW map modifier. And UV map, there it is. The UV map modifier has got a standard mapping parameters here. These are projection maps, so projection mapping methods. So we've got planar, cylindrical, spherical, shrink wrap, etc. Let me show you an image to help you understand what that means. Oh, keep clicking the wrong things. Do that again. I'll go into the help menu, and I think I had it open already, but maybe I didn't. Okay, so just go into help, just hit UVW and type in UVW map modifier, and basically it helps you take a two-dimensional map and apply it to a either 2 or 3-dimensional surface, and lots of information in here about how it works, but I'm going to hopefully just take you through to the kind of like the key things that you need to do to achieve our reference images in the scene. And as I say, we're going to be using a planar mapping projection method. That basically takes a two-dimensional image, in this case an image of bricks, and pushes it onto a cube in a planar fashion, more or less pushing it all the way through, a bit like a cheese grater, just going all the way through. Good for two-dimensional stuff, but obviously the three-dimensional element is not correct. For that, you might use something like a box method over here. So we have different projection methods. Some are cylindrical, some are box, some are spherical, etc. But go into the help menu and you can see more information about that. But just to get you going today, we're going to be using a planar projection map where we're going to put an image onto this plane. So let's firstly set up a material. We'll set up an Arnold standard. Here we go. Arnold surface, standard surface. And from the base color, I'm going to drag out and look for a bitmap. And from the bitmap menu, I will start with, I might as well start with that one. Keep it going, nice and easy. Okay, so I need to basically wire this to my plane. So let's just bring that down and select the plane. I've got the map there, I can wire it across. Okay, on it goes. Now, there's a few things to look at here. The image is not a square image, but the plane was square. So there's a little bit of distortion to the image. So there are little methods that you can use. We can use something called bitmap fit down here. If we click that and then relocate the same image and say that, we can say open. And now what you'll notice is that the UVW map has been extended beyond the square parameters of that original plane. I'm just going to hit G to get rid of the grid because I don't need to see the grid at the minute. So what I would do in this instance is I would go back to the plane and I would look at the length and I think, well, that length's okay, so I'll just shrink it a little bit, and maybe I want to get rid of that my image down at the bottom of that image. I'm just going to go to there, and maybe for the width I would just slide it out until I see the edge of the image. And you can see that with the UV map I can change the parameter of this underlying plane to whatever scale I need just by doing that. I'm going to go to about there, and Also, inside the UVW map itself, we have a gizmo, and this gizmo, once it's activated, lets you move the image around. Okay, so we've got our image. It's applied to a plane. We're back into our, I can close that down for a second. There are additional things that we could look at in here, like tiling options and scaling and stuff like this. But we'll save that for another day. Today we'll just get our image inside 3ds Max as a reference plane, and you'll notice on the back it isn't there. So we've got something called backface culling on the ground plane. So if I just click on that ground plane, right click on it, go to object properties, we haven't got backface culling on. In fact, backface culling would just make it invisible. So I'll just undo that. But we haven't got in effect any information there. So what I would do is over the top I can put another little modifier called a shell modifier, and it just gives that little thickness to your surface, gives you in effect a surface on both sides of your plane. Now my plane can be referenced from both sides. You may not need that shell, that may be unnecessary, and actually all you want to do is model something based on this image. So you would typically start modeling out here and think, well, okay, I've got my reference image now. I'm going to start modeling in response to that reference image and looking at that plane, for example, that structure there. I would probably start with something like a Gengon, quite possibly. And yeah, something like Gengon, rotate it round, put the angle snaps on, and whatever it is that you're doing, you can basically start working and modelling in the scene with this object as a reference, nice and easy. Probably place somewhere to the side that you can, so you can just every now and then go across to it, have a little look at it, go back into your space. There are a couple other things that we could do. So if you're happy with that and you want to just practice that out, stop now and just leave it alone. If you want to do something a little bit more complicated, stay with me. I think what I can do is I'll just go across, I'll pause for one. Okay, so yeah, as I said, if you're happy with that, if that's all you need, a simple image on a plane, job's good. And if you want to do something a little bit more complicated, you can stay with me and do the following exercise as well. So part 2, here we go. I'm going to replace that image, so go back in here and I'm going to replace the image with something else. So let's get rid of that image. Actually, I'll leave that on there and instead I'll just double click in here, go inside the bitmap parameters and click on there, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate. In fact, I'm going to navigate across to PC, college, resources, 3D, carrots profiles, astronaut, and I'm going to go with, say, image number 7, like so. And image number 7, you'll see the ground plane has been updated to reference this. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of work just to do the scaling process again, so I'm just going to go back in here like we did before, and I'm going to say UV map, bitmap fit, navigate to number 7, hit that, go to the ground plane, change the height, that's probably good enough, change the width, that's fine. Okay, so now I've got this kind of little astronaut model. But if you were character modelling, for example, and you needed to model, well, not just character model, but if you wanted to load more than one profile of your image in this scene, you could do the following. So I could take that object that I've just created, there it is, both sides, looking nice. As it goes towards the light, it's very shiny, and it's very shiny because in the materials palette, this particular material has, if I just click on it there, it's got the specularity turned right up. If I put that specularity down to 0, you'll see that it disappears. Maybe a little bit of shininess is fine, but we don't need to go more than that. Okay, so this object, very handily, we can just duplicate it. Now, rather than just getting the move tool, holding the shift key and duplicating it like that, rather than doing that, we can use the rotation tool, and I want to rotate it 90 degrees. So 90 degrees, that looks good to me. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that image to about there and there. And now I've got the side profile on this one, and I want to change this one to the front profile. So I need another material. The second material, I could just go like this. Material, shift. There we go. He said, I've duplicated that material. What I'm going to do is disconnect it from there. So that one is for the side. This one's going to be for the front. So out we come, general, bitmap, and across I go again. Preferences, 3D, profiles, astronaut, and this time round I'll go for number 9. Okay. Okay, so number 9 is now going to get applied to, just get the little wiring button, number 9 is going to get applied to this. Okay, so now in my scene I have 2 models. Pretty handy, I've got them side by side. They don't have to be exactly where they are, but maybe like that. And that gives me a nice space within which to start modelling. Okay, so what I might do is select them, because my top view, hit Z, zoom out a little bit and just pull a pair of them into the middle of the world space. Go to perspective, hit Z.
Have you just found the 50 years in Pride
I've got
52
I've got a nice little modelling space to begin.
Tell you all you need to know about this circulating
modelling
coin.
that I
Issued
wish
to mark the
start
50th
to
anniversary of Pride.
block this object out. A couple of ways we would do it, but that's for another tutorial. Today was just about setting up an image reference plane inside 3ds Max. So we did a simple one, just straightforward planar. Done a second one which, same principles, but this time we duplicated it so that we have a side profile and a front profile together. Okay, 13 minutes, not bad. I'll leave it at that. Thanks very much.